The sixth house of the Dashamsa not only validates where your service will be, what your vocation will be, what will be the challenges, problems, obstacles that may come in your service, but also where the gains will be and where the most potential results will come from. Hello and namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. In the series that we are doing about the Dashamsa, the D10 chart, the chart which is more associated with work, with your career, we have already done the placement of different house lords in different houses within the D10 chart. So for example, the first house lord of the D10 chart in various houses in the D10 chart, then the second house lord of the D10 chart, in different houses on the D10 chart, and so on, till we have done the fifth house lord of the D10 chart in different houses in the D10 itself, in the Dashamsa itself. Today we will be talking about the most important house of the D10 chart connected to your service, your vocation, and why it is so important is because it also shows where the biggest challenges, problems, hurdles, competition will come from, where the hidden problems will come from in your career. So let's understand what the D10 charts, different house placements by virtue of sixth house means in your Dashamsa and your D10 chart. So what is your D10 chart, the Dashamsa chart? It is the chart of your achievements, your reputation, your status, your dignity connected to your work. It also validates the results of the 10th house of your D1 chart, of your Lagna chart. But this will also show where the growth in career will come from, where the downfalls are, where the opportunities are, what are your relations with your superiors, with authority figures, and so on. What is the sixth house about the D10 chart? The sixth house of the D10 chart is different from the sixth house of the D1 chart. The sixth house of the D1 chart is more related to general sicknesses, general problems, general competition. It could be competition with somebody else for a person you love, you like, or competing with somebody in sports. May not be where you are actually earning from the sport. But the sixth house of the D10 chart is more related to your service, your work area, your vocation, your business, where you're concentrating your efforts to be able to get a certain output, where you're contributing, where you're serving. So the service can also be in the business. It need not necessarily be serving for only under somebody or working under somebody. So this becomes very, very important. So when the sixth house lord of the D10 chart goes into the sixth house itself, which means it is in a one-man placement itself. Sixth house lord within the sixth house is the most comfortable position of the sixth house lord of the D10 chart. However, what it also means is that a lot of your time, your energy will go in overcoming competition, challenges, problems which the sixth house also represents connected to your work, not any other competition, but connected to your work, which also means a lot of times you will have the service mindset. I need to serve, I need to work hard, I need to contribute. And because the sixth house is also the house of colleagues, these colleagues are those who are connected to your work. Wherever you're going, whoever are your colleagues, whoever are those people, especially those people who are working under you, are seen as the sixth house representation. The colleagues who are equal to you are seen more from the seventh house, and your superiors are seen from the 10th house. So generally, your life will be overseeing people who are working under you or overcoming competition which these people represent. And many times the people who are working under you can also be problematic. They can also be the ones who create the most challenges for you. However, this is still a most comfortable position. What it means is if you are doing a career connected to the sixth house, then you have greatest chances of success as well. So sixth house lord of the D10 chart within the sixth house means a career connected to serving on a day-to-day basis. So for example, if you are in a vocation where on a day-to-day basis you are serving a person, somebody working in a salon, somebody working on the maybe ticket seller, somebody who is a shopkeeper and every day you're serving something, somebody who has a bakery, every day you're serving food, you run a restaurant. It could be a business as well. You don't need to be a server working under somebody. It could also be doing service through a business. So your life is about this, and your most or your biggest successes will also come where you're working in a capacity where you're serving others. People who are connecting with you on a day-to-day basis are getting something out of you, some solace out of you, some comfort out of you. And because of that, you also gain. It could be service or it could be money. The other thing is it could also be a vocation which is related to fighting for others. Sixth house is also the house of competition. So you could be a lawyer. You could be somebody who's fighting diseases, serving people by being a doctor. You could be somebody who's manufacturing drugs. Through that, you're serving people as well. So this has a strong service denotation, but also overcoming competition, hidden competitions. So here you need to be very aware of, or have your ears and your eyes to the ground to know what's happening around you. Because the biggest hurdle in your career will come from those people who are working under you or who understand you very well, who could also bring out themselves to be friends or who are your well-wishers. But at the back of their mind, they may be somebody who's competing with you for the same resources, for the same work, for the same designation, for the same maybe corner office. So you need to be a little careful. However, still it's a pretty gainful position. It is a career made out of service. And what this does is, even when you change jobs from one job to the other, you will have to compete with somebody. It's like 10 people vying for the same job, and then you get the job. So if the planet is in good dignity, then it's easier to get the job because you also have the fighting spirit. Say, for example, Mars is the sixth house lord placed in the sixth house itself. So you get a lot of energy, you get a lot of fighting spirit. But you may also lose interest very quickly. If it's Saturn, which is the sixth house lord, placed in the sixth house itself, then here the person will be more patient, will be working out of perseverance, will work hard to grow their career. Whereas if it's Mars, then they are in a hurry. And they may also make more enemies, for example. But if it's Saturn, then you may be able to make more colleagues, more friends out of those people working under you. Or you may also have an approach that I also need to serve people working below me. So overall, this is a pretty balanced placement with respect to your career. However, it's important to see how the same planet is placed in the D1 chart. So if Mars rules the sixth house in the Dashamsa chart, then Mars rules which house and it's placed where in your D1 chart, because when you're seeing them together, then you will be able to derive the biggest potential and the biggest success out of this placement. Now, when the sixth house lord is placed in the seventh house in the D10 chart, if it's in the seventh house, then it means it is placed second to itself, because here we are talking about the sixth house lord. Going second to itself means it is placed in the second house to itself, so it is in a 212 position from itself. Now, when it is placed in the second house from itself, so firstly, service getting connected to money, service getting connected to nutrition, service getting connected to your livelihood, service getting connected to making more liquid money in the bank. However, this can also have an indirect connection to your family heritage, which means when you're working with people, you also are somebody who's working with values, family integrity, and hardly any time would you be able to overcome the family heritage, the values that you have grown up, and be able to put all of it aside and chart your own path. So this is something which you will have to always contend with, where you can't go very strongly against the roots that you have grown up. However, it is still placed second to itself, which means it is still a lot of gain-making placement. So here, because it is in the seventh house, the gains are coming out of a partnership. So you are serving in a partnership to earn money, to earn your livelihood, to make the bank balance. And because it is the seventh house, it also means that here you're not working with people, a lot of people who are below you. You're working with a lot of people who are of the same designation or authority or role as you. So it means like, for example, on a day-to-day basis, you may have to work with colleagues who are in your same team, or you're all working on the same project. The other denotation of this is that you may be the boss of others, because the sixth house lord is about people who are working under you, but because the seventh house is involved here, which means you treat everybody equally. So people may call you by your first name. You don't really see them as people who are working below you or subordinates. You're looking at those people as colleagues who are working on the same project as you. However, you are more responsible because you're the leader. So this is the denotation, this is the manifestation which you bring. However, at the same time, because it is the seventh house, it means a lot of work will have to be done in a partnership with a lot of balance, which the seventh house represents. But it also means, because it is the sixth house lord which is going into the seventh house, which means there will be a lot of competition to be able to do well in the project. The competition may not only come from your own team, department or within, but there may also be outside competition, because this is the 212 position which is involved here, which means the sixth house is placed second to itself and the sixth house is 12th to where the sixth house lord is placed. So yeah, it also means that you will have to overcome competition challenges from others, outsiders in a team environment to be able to make gains. However, this is a place where if you're balanced in your donation, if you're balanced in how you treat people, then a lot of gains come. Now, the seventh house is also the marketplace, which means you may be selling products on a day-to-day basis. Many of those products may be either service-related products or products related to the sixth house, or you're doing a service in a day-to-day marketplace. For example, as I said, you're serving clients for some filling up a form, or giving them some customer service, or giving them some information because you're on the customer service desk, or you're the receptionist, or you may be the MD of an organization and you're coming out and speaking with your shareholders on a day-to-day basis, where you're communicating, serving in that capacity, directly or indirectly, maybe even in business. So overall, this is still a very gain-making placement, a lot of money-oriented placement. The only thing with this placement is you need to be very balanced how you work with people, and you don't you don't keep your eyes closed. You are always wary of when your own colleagues, your own partners may also be turning against you. Now, when the sixth house lord of the Dashamsa, the D10 chart, is placed in the eighth house, which it means it is placed third to itself. Now, the Dashamsa is not like the 10th house of your D1 chart. Here, it represents everything connected to, more or less connected to work. So within the D10 chart, you can see where the income is coming from, where the competition is coming from, where you are able to move, whether you'll work in your own country, you'll go abroad, and so on. Whereas the D10 chart can be connected to various places. It could be the 9th house of the D1 chart could also be connected to long distance education, or long distance finding a love affair, long distance going for a spiritual place. The D10 chart is more about how each of the houses is connected to your work area, to your vocation, to your service. So when the sixth house lord is going into the eighth house, third to itself, it shows the effort that you need to put in your work, in your career. But yet the eighth house is involved to overcome obstacles, challenges, problems, issues, firefighting. Now, but because the sixth house lord is third in the eighth house, which means the effort is also going in, communication is also going in, short distance travel is also going in about matters of the eighth house. Now, it could mean that you on a day-to-day basis are serving in the capacity of the eighth house. Of course, this has to be validated by how the same planet is placed in your D1 chart as well, in the Lagna chart. However, here, because it is giving the greatest potential, the Dashamsa chart, the D10 chart, it means through an effort, after overcoming obstacles, challenges, problems in your service, how you make gains. And these gains can also come to you sometimes suddenly, without warning. For example, somebody who is working in some other organization, they have heard about you, somebody has referred you to them, or they have worked with you earlier. They just call you and say, you know what, I'm working on this some project or something, please come and work with me, or would you like to join me? Now, this is sudden, out of the blue. You didn't even anticipate this. You may not even be ready for this. You may not even be looking out for a job or a change. However, the job or the opportunity, if it's good enough, what do? You start thinking about it. But why is the sixth house lord going into the eighth house, third house of effort, in the house of obstacles, which means in the current role, the new role is an obstacle. In the current capacity of working in a team, in a project, it's an obstacle, because you'll have to leave all of this, join some other organization, join some other role, join some other team, work with different kind of people. So it's an obstacle to the current trajectory, to the current growth, to the current projects that you're doing, to the current success that you're doing. So you then dump this current thing. If you're taking that up, take up the new opportunity, the sudden opportunity which has come to you, and then you start putting in effort there. You start to put in your influence there. You starting to put your self-enterprise there, because it is the third house to the sixth house. But the eighth house is also 11th to the sixth house. This is a strong placement of a lot of gains coming in your service, especially if connected to the eighth house. The eighth house could be all those works which are connected to looking deep inside, looking at deep analytics. Could be health, could be emergencies, could be surgeries, could be insurances, could be taxation, audits, could be IT, could be dramatics, could be working in a virtual world. Eighth house is also the virtual world. So it represents cinema. It represents being on screen in a make-believe world, like in movies. So all these successes may be coming to you suddenly, but the challenge is the obstacle, the problems may also be coming in suddenly. But because it is third house, also the house of communication, influencing people, it means most of your challenges, obstacles, problems, you'll be able to overcome, not only because of the effort that you're putting in, but also how you speak, how you communicate. So if you're working in an empathetic, service-oriented manner, because it's the sixth house which goes into the eighth house, then you'll find that the obstacles are easily addressed. The firefighting can be done better because you're communicating in a service-oriented manner, in a manner which you're where the person can see the effort that you're putting in to placate them, to put the fire out, to handle the issue, to handle the obstacle. Then the gains come to you, because the gains are also coming in from how you're handling the hurdle, the problem, the fires, the challenges of the eighth house. But it could also mean that sometimes the gains come to you because of somebody else's challenge, somebody else's problem. So if you're working in an insurance company, you gain more because the fear that somebody has of a loss, or somebody loses something and then they come to claim an insurance, you get a cut out of it. Or somebody has met with an accident, they come to a hospital where you may be a doctor or somebody who's working in the hospital. So you gain salary or money or profit out of somebody else's challenges, problems, or emergencies also. So there are a lot of connections to this. However, it still means you have to put in a lot of effort, overcome competition, overcome challenges, overcome hidden enemies, and then to make money and then to make gains in an environment where there may be obstacles, hurdles, challenges, but also gains coming in the long term. Now, when the sixth house lord is placed in the ninth house in the Dashamsa chart, in the D10 chart, now this means it has gone in the fourth house from itself. So if it has gone fourth house from itself, the sixth house lord is placed in the ninth house, then the sixth house is placed in the 10th house from where the sixth house lord is placed. But this is the Dashamsa chart. The Dashamsa chart is about how you are able to gain in your vocation, in your service, in your business, in something where you are putting in your effort, you're contributing on a day-to-day basis to earn your livelihood maybe. So this is strong workplace denotations. The 10th house of your D1 chart has many other denotations also. But the Dashamsa is mostly strictly about your work and work potential, your growth, security, your standing in society and everything. So when the sixth house lord of the Dashamsa goes into the ninth house, it shows that how your service will be able to make gains out of your learning, out of your qualification, out of your higher learning, out of your ability to be able to learn from your experiences, gain from your experiences, and then grow. Because the sixth house lord is involved, which means the learning may also come in because of challenges of the sixth house, sicknesses of the sixth house, obstacles of the sixth house, competition of the sixth house, hidden enemies of the sixth house, sudden issues of the sixth house, sudden accidents of the sixth house also. But because it's gone 4 places from itself, it means if you're learned, then you'll be able to make assets, then you'll be able to make money. A lot of people who have in the Dashamsa, the sixth house lord in the ninth house, if they keep learning, that means if they keep adding qualification, they do a graduation, then they do their master, then they do their PhD, and they're doing some other certification. They keep themselves current. They're always learning. They're learning from the experiences. They're learning from what's happening in the industry. Then they make a lot of gains. I've seen many people with this placement make huge houses, land, assets, number of gains that they have made, but mostly their business is also connected to service. And many times these people have to be on their toes to be able to overcome competition with the sixth house represents. So they have to learn not only about themselves, but they also have to learn to be on the two feet, on their toes, to keep learning what the competition doing, what the competition is up to, how the competition is coming out with the new product, how the competition is coming out with the new service. So they are competing and getting information, knowledge about what the competition is doing, and then they make assets. So they are always learning. They're learning in their service, they're learning in their vocation, they're learning how to serve, they're learning about how to overcome competition, and they're also learning through being current to what their field is, and they're also adding qualification and then making gains. So this is a very strong placement. Many people fear sixth house lord going into the ninth house, which means gains always going in losses. This means gains also coming from long distance travel or moving in your mindset away from your traditional belief. And that's where the higher learning comes in, situation learning comes in, which means you'll have to let go, shed, drop your learning which you have come out, the traditional learning that you have come out, but you have to be current. You have to be creative and then learn, and then to be able to make assets. It could also mean that you're serving long distance away from where you're born, long distance away from where you started off your career. So sometimes these people have to move between cities. So you work in one city and then you have to travel maybe 300, 400, 500 kilometers away from where you're working into another one, or you move to a foreign land and then you start off your service from there. So there is some long distance travel involved, long distance workshops involved, long distance presentations involved. So something or the other, long distance change which is involved, and through which you are able to gain. So overall, this is still a very decent placement. This is a very strong placement because sixth house lord, fourth houses away, which means the 6 houses, 10 houses away from the sixth lord, which means a lot of very strong denotations connected to service, connected to work is coming to you. Now, when the sixth house lord goes into the 10th house in the D10 chart, if it goes into the 10th house, then the sixth house lord is placed 5 houses away from itself. Because the sixth house is going into the 10th house, it means it is placed 5 houses away from itself, and from the sixth house lord, the sixth house is 9 houses away. So it's a 5-9 placement. Now this has a very, very strong denotation because 6 houses service, working under somebody, working for somebody. 10th house is career, work, vocation. Specifically, the Dashamsa, the D10 is more about your work, your vocation, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, your business. And because the 6th house is the house of serving others, strongly connects your career to serving people. But it has gone 5 houses away from itself, which means that you will get education in the field and then you will be starting your career. So if you're not educated, qualified in the field, then it will be difficult for you to really do very well. Some people may buy shares, some people may invest in some business which they don't know much about. They are not qualified to do that business, yet they invest in the business. I've seen a lot of people who are in real estate, who are not civil engineers, who are not architects. They are nowhere connected to the real estate, but they have got some idea of how the industry works and they invest in that, they work in that, and they do very well. So this is a placement where if you are in such an industry where learning is important, understanding the intricacies of the business is important, but you're not ready to learn, specifically connected to higher qualification. This is not the higher learning of the 9th house. This is actual qualification, a degree, a certification in that line of work through which you will be able to gain. Now, why this becomes important is because the 10th house is also the house of your superiors. Those people who are authority figures, those people who are also connected to, or your job is connected to your stature in society. Stature in society connected to your work, or stature at work itself. What is the designation that you get? Nobody will give you a higher designation just because you have experience in a field. They may make you a partner. They may give you a share profits with you, but they may not make you the vice president of projects. They may not make you the head of architecture or design because you don't know anything about it. So yeah, unless you are educated, the standing in society, the respect connected to your work, or the rapport with superiors, or the recognition of the superiors, or the acknowledgement of superiors will be wanting or will be less or will not be to the full potential. So you have to educate yourself to have that designation, to have that growth. And regular education means you do very well. This is slightly different from the 6th house place in the 9th house, which is more about situational learning, experiences about the business. The other thing, because it gone 5 houses away from itself, and which means the 10th house is 9 houses away from the 6th house. So this is a very, very strong gain-making placement. But this promises you that if you have a service mindset, which the 6th house represent, then you can really get the higher designation, high authority, the corner office, the big roles, important roles, and you'll have a lot of pull. You will have a lot of authority and say at work. But this also means that you'll have to overcome that many competition which the 6th house represents to be able to do very well. Now, this is less about money or gain. This is more about authority at work, designation at work. Who is calling the shot? Who has to sign off? Whose approval is most important? Sometimes people who are sitting at the top may not be getting the most money, but they are the people who are approving. So it's like you are a businessman who has to get the clearances from the forestry department. The head of the forestry department may be a government servant. They may be drawing a salary which is 10 times less or 100 times less than what you are able to take back home, because you are the businessman. But without the authority, without the approval, you will not be able to set up your factory. So this is a placement where authority figures you'll have to run in every now and then. So you'll have to contend with them. So if you don't have a humility mindset, if you have a mindset of I'm this big businessman, I'm this rich businessman, I'm telling you, please approve this, then you will run into challenges. If you have a humble mindset, if you have a serving mindset, if you are friends with them, or if you strike a friendly note with authority figures, then your career will do very well, because it is placed 5th to itself. It's a finite placement, so you use it to better effect. But it also means that sometimes your career may be connected to getting stature or designation or high authority connected to the 6th house vocation. You could be a judge, you could be a magistrate, you could be a lawyer who's working in a big law firm, you could be a doctor, you could be somebody who's manufacturing pharmaceutical goods, and you're the MD or the CEO or the vice president marketing in a pharma company. So something related to service, connected to manufacturing surgical items, something related to service, healthcare, courts, magistrates, on a day-to-day being over-the-counter sales, or people who are workers. All of this is connected to the 6th house. So if you have the 6th house lord in the 10th house on the Dashamsa chart, make the best use of it. But also understand that extract or having a good rapport with superiors, with senior people, authority figures, at the same time being humble. Humility is the key to success when you have the 6th house lord in the 10th house in your Dashamsa chart. Now, when the 6th house lord goes into the 11th house in the D10 chart, in the Dashamsa chart, now because it has gone into the 11th house in your D10 chart, it means it has gone 6th place to itself. This is the Bhavam position, which means 6th house lord gone 6th from itself. So generally, this is a very strong placement. Now, 6th house lord going 6th from itself could show a lot of challenges, problems, issues also. Yes, they may. However, here it is the Bhavam position, so it is a strong placement. And where it has gone? In the 11th house. The 11th house is the house of society, societal connections. Friends that you have, those connections who are your acquaintances, those people who you have struck a good balance, struck a good chord, who you have known for some time at least. So this is a strong placement where through service you will make those network connections. Through service you will gain in society. Through service you will be gaining the adulation in society and doing very well. And 11th house of wishes and desires, which means a lot of your wishes and desires will come or get fulfilled through a service mindset, helping mindset, comforting mindset, empathy mindset. So the 6th house lord going 6th from itself means you may be serving the masses in some service. Some people are working in NGOs, people are working in animal welfare, people are working for large hospitals, people are working in large multinational corporations in a support function. So you're not the main execution function, but you are in administration, you are in IT, you are in finance. So these are all support functions to the main function, which is the execution, the project function. This is more than like that kind of a position. However, in the support function, you do very well, because you're serving others and you're serving the masses. through being the support function, you're supporting the masses indirectly through the execution team. So for example, if you are in a construction firm where you are in an admin team, so through your administration team or through the HR work, you are supporting the main function, which is the civil engineering, the actual people who are making the projects. But the people who are making the projects are making the houses for the masses. So indirectly through the admin, being in the admin and serving the execution team, you're also serving the masses. So this is that kind of a placement where a double service connected to you. You're serving some people who are in turn serving others also in a large organization. But because you're in a service role, you always have to have the rapport with the main team, with the execution team, who are actually who are in the front end, who are doing the execution of building the factories, who are constructing things, who are building things, who are manufacturing things, who are actually in hospital serving. So for example, somebody who's in the HR department in a hospital are not serving the patients directly, but they're helping the doctors or the other people who are the nurses. They are looking at their HR work, their leaves and so on, their holidays, their pay packet and all. So you're serving those people who are serving the masses. This is more or less that kind of a role. Or you're manufacturing items which are serving the masses and then making your money, making your mullah, which means through that you're able to gain a lot of money. Some people who are business connected to the sixth house can make tons of money with this placement. Firstly, it is six to itself is the Bhavat Bhavan position, so you make a lot of money. But if the sixth house lord has gone into the 11th house, sixth house from itself, that means the sixth house lord is placed eighth from the sixth house is placed eighth from where the sixth house lord is placed. So this also means many times you may make money, you may make gains out of challenges of others, obstructions of others, or help others overcome those challenges. So it can be liaising officer who is helping the execution team getting approvals because they are stuck up. They don't know where to get the approvals from, and you are stepping in. So you're more of a middle person, a liaising officer, or somebody who's a broker. So this is also that kind of a placement through which you make a lot of money through your acquaintances, through your network connections. Many times the network connections may be very gainful to you, but one thing you need to watch out, because it is the sixth house involved, the major competition, the major hurdles, the major issues, the major inimical forces will also be those very people who you can think to be your friends. So you need to be very careful who you confide in with this placement, because sometimes you could be giving more data, more information than is needed. So however, it's still overall very good placement, a Bhavat Bhavam position. Use it to your advantage, have a humility oriented mindset, and all your wishes and desires come good. Now, when the sixth house lord of the D10 chart in the Dashamsa chart goes into the 12th house, so this is the 7-7 placement to itself, which means the sixth house lord has gone into the 7th house from itself into the 12th house, and the 12th house where the sixth house lord is placed, 7th house is away from the 6th house. This is a very strong placement. However, the 12th house is a moksha bhava, but because it is the D10 chart, it means the 12th house is the moksha bhava of the work connected, which means the moksha will come to you through your work, through your contribution, how you're working for others, especially if the 12th house of both the D1 chart and the D10 chart are very strong, and there's some linkages to the 12th house of the Navamsa also. So yeah, when the 6th house lord goes 7 houses from itself into the 12th house, so this is a very balanced placement. Now, what is the 12th house? The 12th house is the house of contribution, giving up, charity, donation. But what is the 6th house? Serving. So here the person serves in a situation or in a manner, in a role where you are giving up or donating or being charitable. So many times you have to give up something to be able to gain. So many times, because the 12th house is also connected to foreign lands, you have to give up your own homeland, you have to give up your own home, you have to give up your friends, you have to give up something to be able to make gains out of the 12th house denotation. The 12th house denotation could also mean working in isolation, working in hospital. Then you have to give up a company, you have to work in an isolated environment, you have to give up the pleasure or rapport of working with people on a day-to-day basis because you're doing research on your own, sitting in a lab somewhere and doing something. You're working from home, say for example, in a foreign land, all isolated. So this is a placement where you have to go away from your comfort zone a lot. You have to give something up which is very close to your heart and then gain from it. or you need to be away from your comfort zone. So in some way or the other, you will be away from your comfort zone, whether in your own homeland, whether in your own office, whether in your own country, whether in your own city, or whether in foreign lands. You will have to move away from your comfort zone and strike a balance between how happy, how satisfied you are, and how isolated or uncomfortable you are to be able to make gains. But this is also placement. 12th house is the house of waste and excess, which means if you're not very careful, a lot of your service may go waste, especially if you're not careful about the hidden factors, the hidden enemies, people who are working behind your back, the grapevine which exists behind your back. So which means you have to be always on your toes, keep your ears to the ground to know if there are people working against you, so that you don't lose, so that your contribution doesn't go to waste, so that you don't have to put in the double the effort, because a lot of your actions are going to waste. So serving in a mindset, or serving with a clarity of mind and being able to observe where things are going so that you don't lose. So this is a placement where you have to be more intelligent in your work, more balanced in how you see things, to be able to extract more gains. But this is also placement where you may be able to make a lot of gains through your creativity, through your innovation, because the 12th house is the house of imagination also. And another thing, if you have a lot of problems or challenges at your workplace, try and not solve it on the same day. Try to sleep on it, which means even if you think, okay, this is the solution, don't send out the mail immediately. Don't make the phone call. Sleep on it. Spend the night. In the morning, if you feel the same, do it. If not, if you have a change of ideas, good that you slept over it, because there may be a different way to look at the challenge, different way to look at the issue. So always give it a gap. That's why it is said, sleep over the matter, maybe 2-3 days. Then you will find a better solution, so that your effort will not go to waste. So this is, in a certain way, some hidden forces are helping you, getting that intuition in your mind to overcome challenges. So through this, you will also have the intuition to see where somebody is working. For example, somebody is working against you, somebody is saying something. So when you look at them, you feel, why this person is out of place today? Why is this person acting this way? Then you realize this person has spoken against you in a meeting just some time back. So there is this strong intuition which is also in place. However, this is one of the best places to work away from your homeland, to work in a different organization, from from your city, in a multinational corporation, or connected to foreign lands, or in work in isolation. However, overall, this is still a gain-making placement if you're able to balance how much you're able to overcome competition, yet you have a mindset of serving others. Now, when the 6th house lord goes into the 1st house, into the Lagna, which means it is placed 8th house from itself. Now, the 6th house lord going 8th house away from itself, but in the Lagna. This means that many a times the obstruction, the challenges, the problems may come into your career, into your workforce, and after overcoming those obstacles, the challenges, those emergencies, that firefighting, only then will you be able to rise in your career. Only then you will be able to do very well. Only then you will be able to attain a certain stature, dignity, standing in society. However, because it is gone 8th house away from itself, but in the Lagna, it also means sudden opportunities may also come to you, just like sudden fire may come to you. Sudden gains come to you. Somebody who is a friend calls you up and says, can you work with me? But what happens, this is a different, only from an opportunity. This will be a growth-oriented opportunity which comes out of the blue. It is not that, okay, you're a vice president marketing in this organization, I'll make you vice president marketing in my own company. No, it is, okay, you're working in vice president marketing, I'll make you an executive marketing in my company. Come, I'll give you 30%, 40% gain. This is different from the 6th house lord placed in the 8th house. So this is 8th house is away from itself, but in the Lagna. So this is out of the blue getting a very strong placement or an opportunity to work much big, take a huge jump, because of you having the sudden gains coming in. But this also means the fall from grace can also be that big. So you're sitting on top, you're the executive vice president and all that. Suddenly such a big problem happens, you fall from grace. Many times the sudden challenge happens because the 6th house lord is placed 8th from itself, but the 6th house lord, which means somebody working behind your back, has done something because of which things have gotten in, or the things have started moving in such a way, they have ended up with you falling from grace, losing your job, losing your standing, losing your respect, losing your stake. So this is a double-edged sword. On one side, huge gains can come out of you out of the blue, but sometimes big fall from grace can also happen suddenly. So here you need to be very humble, and you also need to have a service mindset. But what this does is you need to have a service mindset to be at the top. That I need to go and become the MD of the organization, then I'll bring in the biggest change. So you have to think big. You have to think huge. Then you'll be able to reach at least 2 or 3 steps away from where you are. If you dream small and if you want to take smaller, shorter steps, then it'll take you a lot of time, lot of issues to overcome challenges or problems. So the Shrishti, the zodiac is helping you that I want to make you huge gains and sudden gains, 2 or 3 leaps or jumps also. So always think 2 or 3 steps ahead of others. Try to be more creative. Try to be more innovative. Think in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years where I want to be. Let me try to do it now. So have that mindset to be able to make gains. However, many people who are working in pharma companies as surgeons, as doctors, or who are in manufacturing or having franchisee of salons or restaurants, in some capacity they are serving and they are MD or the business owners is this placement. So if you have the 6th house lord in the Lagna, in the first house of the D10 chart, this is a huge opportunity. It is ridden with challenges and issues also, but it also the biggest promise. The most sudden gains may come in with the service mindset, overcoming competition, but with intelligence, but to think big. Now when the 6th house lord goes into the 2nd house in your D10 chart, in your Dashamsa chart, the Dashamsa chart is not just like your D10, your 10th house and your D1 chart, which has a lot of other denotations to it, not only work. The Dashamsa chart is specifically connected to your work, to your service, to your business, to your work output, where you're contributing on a day-to-day basis, where your time, where your actions are going on a day-to-day basis. So when the 6th house lord in the D10 chart goes into the 2nd house, this shows a lot of your earning is getting connected to your service, your ability to serve others. So the money is coming from service. Now, 2nd house is also the house of nutrition. So many people who are serving in some capacity in a restaurant, either cooking or serving or supplying items. So something connected to nutrition is one. Secondly, supplying items or serving or doing things or selling things to somebody who's in a service environment. If somebody is running a salon and you're making salon connected equipment, somebody is running a salon, you're making hair dryers and you're selling it to organization, which in turn goes to the salon for women to use it, to do their hair or whatever. So here you're serving in a capacity, mass capacity to earn a lot of money, because the 6th house has gone 9 houses from itself. It's a very, very strong gain making placement. So in some ways, serving to earn more money in nutrition. It could also be serving in a capacity where using more language. For example, somebody who's a psychiatrist. So your 6th house is also sickness. So the person is serving people in a certain way, talking to the people, and through how they are able to bring gains to the other people to give them solace and earning money in a service mindset. To some way, communication, the language that you are using is helping you make gains in a service mindset also. But because it is 9th house away from itself, it could also mean you go long distance from where you are born, and in a foreign country or long distance away, you gain the education because it is the 9 houses away, get the experience, get the situation learning, and then you earn money. So just going long distance and working may not make you money. You go long distance, you always learn, you are always earning. Through your learning, you're upping the ante. You're also learning from your experiences, and through your experiences, through being current, you're earning more and more money. This is also placement where, because the 6th house is also the house of loans and debts connected to the 2nd house of money. So here you could be somebody who's a banker, who's a teller, who's connected to finance, who's connected to accounts, who's connected to taxation, and then you make your money to serving money connected businesses, money connected denotations, whether in banking or lending money. This could also mean that you earn a lot of money by also loaning out money, or you are getting money on debt to run your organization and then earn money. For example, somebody wants to set up the salon, so they borrow money, 6th house, then they set up the salon, serve people, and then they make money, they make gains. Sixth house lord placed ninth houses away from itself in the second house, and then they make money. So through this, you are able to make a lot of gains. You're also able to make a lot of connections. But the biggest challenge of this will be that if you don't serve with values, if you're always cutting corners, if you're trying to be more profitable, then the competition will eat into you, will be able to steal a march over you, because the sixth house is also the house of competition. So the earning will reduce, the gains will reduce, because you don't have a service mindset, you have an earning mindset. So with this, you have to be very, very careful, and you also have to have an ear to the ground. Who is trying to earn more than you or cut prices so that they are able to up the ante over you, score over you. So the money part is very, very crucial, especially in a service or a business. Who's earning what? Who's taking so much cut? Who's cutting the prices and all? So the money issue is important. However, many times people may make wrong career choices only for money. Sixth house going into the second house. So for gains, because it has gone 9 houses away, so for gains, you are ready to only for money, you're ready to let go of the big brand you're working for, or the role that you're working for, the team that you're working for. So money may become the biggest concern for you in service, because of which the sixth house challenges may also come. So with this placement, don't rush for money or chase money. Money will come to you anyhow. Sixth house is placed in the second house. But try to have a service mindset. Try to always learn better, to serve better. Then you see how much gains can come to you. It is the most stable position, stability in your career, stability in your job, security in your job, and money in the correction. Now, when the sixth house has gone into the third house in the Dashamsa chart, it has gone 10 houses away from itself, which means it is 10-4 placement from itself. So yeah, this is a placement where without effort, the gains will not come to you, and the effort in service, because the third house is involved. But it has gone 10 houses away, which means the more effort that you put in, the better designation, the better rapport, the better acquaintances, or better acknowledgement will come from your superiors. So the more effort that you put in, you gain through service, through your rapport with seniors, through your rapport with authority figures. This is a very, very strong placement for career connected to service. So the more effort that you put in through your communication, your ability to market yourself. So this is not a placement that you just work and you keep your mouth shut. No, you work, you put in the hard work, but also demonstrate to others that you're working. Drop in a mail and say, I did this. Over a tea break, tell people I did this way. So not blow your trumpet, but at least let people know what you're doing in a very subtle manner, so that people know that what you have achieved and how you're able to contribute. So through blowing your trumpet to some extent and working hard, working more harder than you blow your trumpet, you make a lot of gains. So informally telling people who are higher ups, I did this today, I'm very happy because I was able to do this today. I'm very happy because my department was able to do this and I was able to contribute. So in a very subtle manner, you're letting the powers that be, the authority figures be, through your communication, the effort that you're putting in, then you are rising in stature. So this is a slightly diplomacy-oriented placement also, where effort is going with your rapport also with your seniors. However, because it is the third house, so it also means you could do something on your own, doing your own business, running your own vocation. A lot of people who are lawyers, barristers, sixth house, service, third house, self-enterprise, or doing your own business is also these placements. A lot of doctors who have their own practice, a lot of dancers who have their own practice, a lot of singers who have their own practice, maybe YouTube channel or their own band. It's also this placement, because the third house is also the performing arts. So you're serving people, making people happy through performing arts using your limbs, with the third house represents. So your career is connected to serving people through performing arts, through communication, through marketing, through influencing others, through self-enterprise, and developing rapport to be able to influence your superiors and then making gains. So overall, this is a very, very strong placement. 10-4 placement, a lot of assets may come in from your self-enterprise. This is one of the strongest placement from doing your own business, working for others rather than working for somebody else. Now, when the sixth house lord goes into the fourth house in the D10 chart and the Dashamsa chart, the fourth house is 11 houses away from the sixth house. So this is a very strong gain-making placement. However, the 11 house is a Upacha house, which grows over a period of time. So the sixth house lord going into the fourth house also means you have to work hard over a period of time to make huge gains. But when the gains come to you, they come in a plethora. Fourth house is also assets, which means working hard, serving with a service mindset, ready to work with patience, with perseverance over a period of time to make huge gains, to make huge assets. But because the sixth house of service is involved, this also means serving the masses. 11th house is also the house of masses. The fourth house is 11 houses away from the sixth house. So serving the masses with a service mindset, and then over a period of time, when you're able to do it consistently, making a lot of assets. But because the sixth house is involved, this also means that serving people connected to the fourth house. So yeah, you could be an architect, you could be a plumber, you could be an electrician, you could be somebody who has a hardware store, you are somebody who's supplying marble or granite or the fittings, or helping somebody in interior decoration, designing the home. So in some way, the home may be connected to this, or somebody is working out of home, making YouTube videos. Somebody who is a doctor who has a home practice, has one portion of the house which is their clinic, their dispensary, and they live in the rear portion. Lawyers, many lawyers also have their own practice, in which way they are operating out of their homes. A lot of people who started to work out of home, suddenly some dasha changes and you started to work out of home. Then go and see, you will always see some connection. The sixth house lord placed in the fourth house. So this is also a placement where you're serving in the matters of the fourth house or serving from home. But this could also mean that the challenge or the problem comes most from home. So many times some issue at home can also be influencing your career in some way. So you have to cut corners because you're serving a spouse, you're serving children, you're serving your larger community. So in some way, some service is involved at home in your domestic life, because of which you are serving. But this also says that if you are trying to help your family, domestic life, and serving them, then also the zodiac helps you. Then also the creativity helps you. The Srishti helps you to be able to make huge gains. So overall, this is a placement of huge gains also. But because the fourth house is 3 houses away from the sixth house, this is 11th replacement, which means a lot of effort over a period of time and persevering and making gains. The only thing I would advise you in this placement, apart from working hard, serving family and all this, to have a lot of patience, have a lot of perseverance, and let small matters be. Keep the main thing, and then see how much assets, how much gains you make over a period of time. Now, when the sixth house lord in the D10 chart, in the Dashamsa chart, goes into the fifth house, which means it has gone 12 houses away from itself. Now, on the face of it, the 12th house from any house is the loss of that house. So the fifth house is the loss of the sixth house. But here the fifth house is involved. The house of gains is involved. But the sixth house is also the house of competition. So the main denotation of this is that if you're not careful in a serving environment, then the gains will not come to you. Instead of gains, the losses will come to you. But if you're careful, a lot of gains can come to you. However, you need to have a mindset of giving, donating, being charitable. So being charitable in service rather than chasing money, chase good output, chase good contribution, chase good results, then the gains of the fifth house comes. So here you have a contributing mindset, giving up mindset, helping mindset, charitable mindset. So you want to be more charitable in your service, you want to be more helpful in your service. Money is not the equation. Designation is not the equation. High growth is not the equation. Serving, doing very well in the career is, then automatically you will find the gains will come to you because the fifth house is involved here. But this could also mean that many times the challenges may also come to you from those people who are working below you. Your own colleagues are a loss to your gains, because the 12th house, 6th house gone 12 from houses away from itself. So losses of effort may also come if you're not careful. However, this is a strong placement where you're serving in some finance, taxation, audits, money, education, educational institutes, schools, higher learning, or serving in an industry where you have a hobby. You love that industry, you like that industry. It could be somebody who's on stage and wants to serve. Somebody who's a musician, wants to sing and serve people and make people happy. Somebody who is a doctor, sixth house, but is on YouTube and making videos and is on the stage, helping people, contributing, being charitable without asking for money, just consulting and telling people do this, and then the views go up, the money comes in, a lot of sponsorship also comes in. So overall, this is pretty artistic placement, service-oriented placement, gain-making placement. But the only approach you need to have is less of a money approach, more of a service approach. However, you need to keep your, as I said, your ears to the ground so that the competition doesn't overpower you. This could also mean that somewhere there could be a partnership, which could also be a romantic partnership, which also helps you in your career, connected to work. This is a different placement from the D10 chart where 6th house lord goes into the 5th house. But there's more children. Here the partnership is involved. A partner is involved. So working in a partnership in certain manner where you're making gains with the person could also be your partner in life. So this is also strong placement where you could end up working in a partnership or with your partner in running some sort of a shop, some sort of a service also that could be there. However, overall, this is a tricky placement. 6th house lord goes into the 12th house from itself. In the 5th house, gains could be lost if effort is lacking, if the service mindset is lacking, if the contribution mindset is lacking. So friends, now that we have spoken about how the 6th house lord in your D10 chart is placed in the 12 houses of the D10 chart, do see the same planet which houses it rules in the D1 chart, where it is placed, and doing the overall analysis, connecting them both will give you the highest potential, the greatest meaning to how the 6th house lord or any house lord is placed in the D10 chart, in the Dashamsa chart. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me in the links given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is a friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.